Very good afternoon once again from the Sports Desk. Women's Month celebrations continue. We take a look at women making a difference in the world of sport. This time around, we're joined by Rugby World Cup-winning Springbok physiotherapist, Rene Naylor. Rene, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for your time. So you've been with the Springboks for a very long time. Tell us how that journey began.
Hi, good afternoon, Rene. Yes, my journey started in 2008 with the Springboks. And at that stage, I'd worked in rugby for about 10 years. Humble beginnings, working at club rugby, then at Western Province, Stormers. And, becoming the Springbok physiotherapist, definitely the pinnacle of my career.
Now, of course, Rene, rugby is one of the more physically demanding sports, as we've seen with the players. How do you handle the workload, theirs, of course, and your own?
Yes. Working in rugby is physically demanding. And I think the most important thing is that it is a passion. And you, as a physiotherapist, you're working on injury management and also injury prevention. So, the primary focus for us is to look at preventing the injuries in players, looking at injury risk profiling so that we can actually make our workload easier by empowering players to take ownership and responsibility for their injury risks.
Rene, the national team, the players themselves, their careers obviously depend on making sure they stay fit. And I suppose some of the clubs as well that allow their players to go represent their countries, they depend on someone like you knowing exactly what it is she is doing and making sure that she does it right. What are some of the challenges that come with being a physiotherapist at such a level?
I think for myself, and particularly as a female, the questions are often asked, you're working in a very male-dominated sport. And for me, it's always been, you wanted to be respected as a professional first, rather than people paying attention to the fact that you're female. But for me, the challenge was that I'd never played rugby. So part of my early years in rugby was to educate myself, not only about the physiotherapy skills and expertise in preventing an injury, but also looking at the actual game and understanding the defense system, understanding the best shape of a ball, and understanding the calls in the game plan that is important if you're on the side of the field.
Let's go back to that 6 weeks you spent with the team in Japan last year as you worked your magic in keeping them fit so that they make it all the way to the final and then subsequently win us that world title. What did it take to keep those boys in that shape for 6 weeks?
Firstly, it wasn't 6 weeks, it was actually 10 weeks in Japan. We made a point. We were the first country to arrive in Japan and we were going to be the last country to leave. That was the plan. I think that the plan was really 2 years prior, the preparation, and a lot of hard work went into preparation prior to the actual World Cup, developing the skills in players to take ownership for the recovery and for their conditioning. And for us, it was really, in that 10 weeks, was to facilitate that process and to really be there for the players whenever they needed us. So yes, it was really hard work. It was long hours. We woke up very early in the morning, and the physio department closed very, very late at night. But it was all worth it, and it was all part of the plan to be successful and to be able to bring back the trophy to this beautiful country of ours.
Now, you say that you've been in the physiotherapy, especially in the rugby space, for well over 10 years now. Why rugby? Why the sport? When, of course, you could do football, you could do any other kind of sport, but why rugby?
So I actually was in rugby for 10 years prior to starting in 2008. So it's well over 20 years now without giving away my age. I think that I would probably say this to any physiotherapist, pursuing a career in sport, is choose a sport that you actually enjoy watching. So for me, from being a young girl, I enjoyed watching rugby with my family. And I think that's where the passion started. And if you want to pursue a career in a sport, it must be something you really enjoy. And this is the sport that I probably enjoy the most, and that's why it's such a privilege and an honor for me to perform and to work at such an elite level.
Rene Naylor, thank you very much for your time, and please do keep making sure that our boys stay fit when they eventually do come back to action. But that is where we're going to leave it. Rene